Does, I think, everything the Taycan does for a fraction of the price. Hello and welcome back to the Volks Wizard channel. Today's video is a review of one of the most popular electric vehicles you can buy, the Porsche Taycan, which in Cross Turismo spec with its sleek estate body and off-road inspired styling makes an intriguing, if somewhat expensive, proposition. Now later in the video I'm going to explain to you why even the best electric vehicles like this Taycan lose money at an alarming rate, and what the government are doing to incentivise electric vehicle sales amongst company car drivers is playing havoc with the used car market and causing manufacturers to discontinue perfectly good, clean, internal combustion engine cars that make a much better used proposition than an EV. One of those being a very special Audi estate that I will reveal at the end of the video. But let's get the ball rolling by seeing how this Porsche Taycan 4S Cross Turismo stacks up on paper. Before we get started, I'd just like to remind you guys how you can support the channel. The easiest way to do that is simply to subscribe. We're still getting 80% of views from non-subscribers, and it's brilliant to get those views, but it would be brilliant if at least some of those views were converted into subscriptions. So if you haven't subscribed and you like what you see, then I'm sure you know what to do. And if you have subscribed, then big thanks. I appreciate every one of the 56,000 or so. Okay, on to the vital stats then for the Taycan 4S Cross Turismo. So just briefly, the Taycan came out of the saloon quite a few years ago now, and then more recently Porsche launched an estate version called the Sport Turismo or the Cross Turismo. They're very similar. The Cross Turismo has off-road aspirations, shall we say, with its body cladding and its higher ride height. The range starts with a Taycan 4 Cross Turismo about £97,000. This is the 4S, which is just under £101,000, and there are faster, more expensive models above it, but why you would need them, I do not know. Now this car has got about £20,000 of options at least, which I'll try and cover in the video. Let's start off then with performance. So 0 to 62, 3.8 seconds, not bad for a 2.3 ton car. It's got 598 metric horsepower, 710 Newton meters of torque, so that's getting into RS6 territory. Top speed of 149, which, yeah, it's not that much, but I'm sure it's fine even in Germany. Range, I've checked and checked this because some reviews say 250 to 320 miles on a full charge. The official range today from the Porsche website is 381 miles on the combined cycle. The battery size is 97 kilowatt hours. It does 18.7 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, so that's per 62 miles. If you charge at the going rate for a fast charger away from home, that costs just under £15. If you charge at home, that costs just £5.40. That's at 28p per kilowatt hour. So that's pretty impressive. So that's just over 10 quid to do 120 miles. So yeah, that's not bad, but that's only if you charge from home. Luggage capacity, it's got 446 litres with the seats up and 1,212 litres with the seats down, and it's got 84 litres in a frunk. It's a wide car. It's about 10 centimetres wider than an A4, so just under 2 metres with the mirrors folded, so 2 metres 14 centimetres with the mirrors out. Length just under 5 metres, wheelbase just under 3 metres, and weight 2.3 tons. So yeah, it's a heavy car. Right now, let's have a look at the outside and the inside. Okay, as usual, let's start off then with the exterior and let's talk about that colour. So it's a bit of a cult colour amongst Porsche owners. It's called Crayon. It's a 2,732 option, part of the Legends range. Now this car's got the off-road pack, which costs about £1,000, and it gives you these flicked up sections, a bit like the aero kit on a 911. And as well as looking good, I think they might actually do some protection, because you can see this is dirty from dirt flicked up by the front wheels. And if you drive down a gravel driveway, that could be stones, and I don't think the stone chip protector will do an awful lot of good. So it's a good idea if you do plan to go off-road even a bit, and it looks great as well. Wheels, right, standard wheels are 19-inch. These are 21-inch Cross Turismo design wheels that cost, I cannot believe this, £3,573, and they want £926 more to paint them in gloss black. Width-wise, we've got 11.5 inches at the back, 9.5 at the front. Tyres, 305 30/21s at the back, 265 35/21s at the front. Have a look at the brakes. They're single piece, so they're not particularly high-tech. Calipers are big. I guess with electric vehicles, you do a lot of recuperative braking, so the brakes don't do that much work. So it's got the optional LED matrix headlights, which are always money well spent. It's got adaptive cruise control, which, even though that was standard on the Golf Mark 7 in 2013, it's an extra on this car. You can see the radar there. Also got a front camera, of course, front and rear parking sensors. It's got a 3D bird's eye view camera as well. The ride height is this car's sort of party trick, really. It's got air suspension, which means it can go really low, which it does in range mode to make the car as aerodynamic as possible. Or if you're going off-road, it can go really high. I did a little test in a Cotswold car park where there were loads of other SUVs, and this car actually had the biggest gap between the tyre and the body in its highest mode. So this is the Taycan in its highest suspension setting. I can get my hand in there really easily. This is the Volvo XC40, I guess a proper SUV. I can just about get my hand in there. And this is a Skoda Karoq. Can't get my hand in there. And I guess this is probably the closest rival, maybe a bit bigger. BMW X5. Can't get my hand in there. It's also got lift mode as well, which will just lift the front up, and you can program it to remember where you did that. So every time you go there, it lifts the front up, which I think is a very good use of technology. This car's got the full length sunroof, which we'll talk about inside. And then it's got a light bar at the back, which looks pretty cool at night. There's a button there for opening the boot, which is quite handy. Yeah, but a good looking car outside. Now, let's have a look inside. Now this car's got the £648 comfort access system, which is basically keyless entry. Now on the configurator, Porsche says it could lead to your car being stolen, even though it's as secure as keyless entry can be. Just to get into the range of the car, about a metre away, the door handles pop out. And there we go. The doors are pillarless, so the window drops down. And it's pretty nice in here. So this is an expensive car, so they have had the budget to do it as good as they possibly can do. I would say it's probably not as good as some Audis. It's definitely better than the Audi e-tron GT though, which is its rival. So again, with electric cars like Volkswagen, the interior quality seems to be down a notch, but for Porsche it's still really, really good. So this plastic is good. It's padded. Switches look a little bit cheap, but they feel okay. Don't have chrome tips. That's a bit padded. That's quite a nice texture there. Even the speaker grill's nice. We've got this expensive option leather that is about £3,000. I'm not sure the light colour will wear that well. It's already looking a little bit second-hand in places, but it certainly lifts the cabin. This looks a little bit cheap, a little bit Volkswagen ID, which is a bit disappointing. This is okay. It has to be durable here because it gets kicked about. And we've got a very nice aluminium sill protector. Carpet quality is excellent. You can see the lines in there, so that's probably as good as it gets. Floor mats are good with the Porsche logo woven in. We've got plastic pedal covers, but stainless steel is an option. There's actually a bit of protector there, which I think should have been taken off at the pre-delivery inspection, but I'd actually probably leave that on. And we have the full-length sunroof. Now, you can't open this, and it doesn't have a blind, and this one was about £1,000, 1296. But if you want the one with a variable light control, and trust me, you do, because it can get really hot in here, and you have the added problem of air conditioning taken away from the electric range, you need to pay £4,000 for that. So this car's got Sport Chrono. It is really a bit of a gimmick. On a sports car Porsche, you get different gearbox mapping, you get exhaust noise. I don't really think there's an awful lot Sport Chrono can do apart from give you a lap timer. We're using the climate control on this screen, which is pretty good. You can also have a menu on the main screen here, but this is good. It's got the haptic feedback we've had in Audis for quite a long time. This screen doesn't do an awful lot. It's actually pleasingly simple in here, particularly if you've used a Porsche before, even a Boxster or a Cayman. The stalks do the same thing. The dials, even though they're digital, are very familiar. We've got a very familiar multifunction steering wheel. Got drive modes here, which you can't go all the way around to the other side. That's quite good in a way. So range mode is lowers the car and just restricts the top speed, and a normal sport plus individual. Headlights are over here, but they just do their thing. No handbrake anywhere, and it's clever. It doesn't need one really, which is really good. Air vents, first time I've seen them in the car without any adjustment on them like this physical adjustment. It's all done electronically. You can have like strong or soft air conditioning, but from my experience, it didn't really feel that cool in here. And if you run it in eco mode, it's even going to be less good. So yesterday, it's still March, it was sunny. At 22, it was quite warm in here. And like I said, the sunroof doesn't help. So I don't know if they kind of weakened the air conditioning in an electric car so it doesn't take away a lot of the charge. But CarPlay integration is brilliant. It's wireless. There's wireless charging in here. The cup holders are very good. Glove box, I haven't even taken much notice of because you can't really see it, but it's there. It's a bit of a funny shape. This bit of the dash comes out quite a long way, and it's probably just styling because it could just go straight down. But yeah, it's a nice place to be. Black headlining, Porsche crest on the headrest. That's another option. Plain black seat belts. Now we've got Bose sound system. Here you can see there's little badges on the speakers. You could pay extra for Burmeister, but from my experience, this is as good as you really need. We've got the head-up display, which I don't use because I wear polarized sunglasses, and the configurator says it's not very good if you do wear those. We've got heated seats in the front and the back. That's another option. Easy to forget. Gear selector here. So this nose lever puts it in drive or reverse. You don't want to get that mixed up because the throttle response is so sharp. If you're meant to go forwards instead of backwards, then you might hit something very easily and very hard. And then put it into park is kind of good because you don't want to touch that throttle by mistake, slip off the brake pedal, whatever. To put it into park. To turn it on, you press this power button, which is just like many electrical devices. And then to turn it off, you have to hold and press. It's got convenience access on the front seats, which means that when you get in and out, it makes it easier, like so, which means it could be quite tricky to get in the back. So we'll get in the back. On the passenger side, electric folding mirrors, of course. Actually, this seat is quite a long way back, but there's still good knee room. There's actually reasonable headroom, but kind of here, this cuts into where my head would be, so that's not so great. But yeah, I don't know, this sunroof is great on a dull day, but I'm sitting here with the sun aiming right at me and I don't particularly like it. So yeah, it's definitely a no-no. Quality in here doesn't seem to be downgraded at all, so that's a nice touch. But then at this kind of price, it shouldn't be, should it? It's worth just quickly mentioning the charging flap on the Taycan. There's one on both sides, which isn't always the case with EVs. The left-hand side is AC and DC, and this one is just AC. And to open it, I haven't read the manual. I just kind of generally rub on the end of this, and there you have it. And then to close it again, I think you just... There we go. Okay, well, that's the inside and the outside of the Taycan 4S Cross Turismo, but even more so than ever, the most important part of this test is how this car drives. We are starting off with 167 mile range. That's 75% of the battery, which means that its maximum range today at about 8 degrees is going to be 220 miles, which isn't really that good. I don't have a charger here. I've just been using the 3-pin plug, which charges at 2.1 kilowatts an hour, which means that it's about 50 hours to charge the battery from a 3-pin plug. If you've got a wall box at home, they're 7 kilowatt hour. So it's still going to take quite a long time, but it will do it overnight, which I guess is what you need. But I'm really kind of disappointed with the 220, not the 380 that's promised by WLTP. Remember, WLTP took over from RDE to be a more realistic test. So I really, find that a bit strange. Okay, so let's get going then. We're going to drive to APS Specialist Vehicles in Brackley, where they have this very wonderful but now discontinued Audi estate that I think does everything this car does and is a fraction of the price. Before we get started, I just want to give these seats a big shout out. I didn't mention them earlier. They're 18-weight adjustables. They cost a fair bit of money, but trust me, they're money well spent. And they don't have massage though, which is a bit disappointing, but everything else is electric. They've even got extendable thigh support, which is electric. Definitely worth having. Whew, right, it's getting hot in here, so let's press the power button and get going. We're going to do this trip in normal mode. So So it's only fair to test the car in normal mode. I'm not going to put it in range mode just yet, because I think I've got enough range now to get to Brackley from here in Warwickshire and then back to Porsche Solihull just outside Birmingham. It's a really straightforward car to drive in so many ways. No handbrake. It's just so easy. And the ride is good. We've got adaptive suspension, so it's not crashy, but over pretty bad surfaces it can get crashy, but generally it's really good. There's 2.3 tons and there's only so much the suspension can do, so but generally it's actually quite impressive how well it rides. And it's got the lowest centre of gravity of any Porsche car because the battery is in the floor, so it does handle as well. What's good that you can turn off and keep off is that we've got lane keep assistance bundled in something called InnoDrive, which is basically, I think, semi-autonomous driving. So it keeps you in the lane, which can be annoying. It also reads the traffic signs and adapts the speed accordingly. That, as in the Golf, is a bit of a disaster that leads to some very jerky and weird driving. So you can just turn that off and keep adaptive cruise control, which works just as well as in a Mark 7.5 Golf. And we've also got electric sport sound. Now this is a bit of a disaster because it doesn't sound sporty. It doesn't sound like an engine, it sounds like a food mixer, if you're being kind, a spaceship, and I don't know why that sounds sporty. So this is going to be the problem with electric cars, getting the emotion that we all love of revving out an engine and the noise and the feelings that come with that. Really, this isn't going to fix that problem. The Boxster and Cayman are coming electric soon, and they better have a solution for that. So let's talk performance. It might have the same torque as an RS6, but the way it develops it, it's so much sharper. It really can hurt your neck. You might need the neck of Carlos Sainz to get the most out of this car without having to go to hospital. It is unbelievably quick. It's the way it just goes that is crazy, and that's in normal mode. It's a little bit softer. If we twiddle our knob into Sport Plus, it's quick, but is it emotional? I don't really think so. And it corners amazingly well, but it is a wide car with a lot of weight, but it's too easy. Now we're going to get on the M40, we're going to do a steady speed, 70 miles an hour, and we're going to see what it does to the range. Okay, we're doing a steady 70 miles an hour on the motorway. It's, I suppose you could say, in its elements, it's not the most efficient kind of driving for electric cars because they actually like a bit of start-stop because they don't actually use much energy at all when they're just sitting in traffic. But it's not bad. It's quite loud though with tyre noise because we've got massive tyres, unlike a lot of electric vehicles. So yeah, there definitely are quieter electric vehicles, and you can feel its weight even in a straight line on the motorway. You can feel it nodding and bobbing a bit like this, and the steering feels really heavy. It doesn't feel heavy when you're manoeuvring it, but it has this sense of weight which makes you feel like you're driving a very heavy car, which you are. I mean, the weight accelerates, bearing in mind the weight is just unbelievable. Okay, we made it to Brackley. We've done 25 miles, pretty much exactly. We started off with 167 miles worth of range, and we've used 36. So pretty much half as much again. And you've got to bear in mind, the original range has been compressed to allow for the temperature, and I'm not sure what else. I mean, it's quite warm now, it's 11.5 degrees, so it could be a lot colder in the depth of winter. So not only was the range shorter to start off with, we've used more than we would have expected. Okay, there was a bit of acceleration earlier on in the drive, but actually that was contradicted by driving below the speed limit for a lot of the journey here, partly for testing reasons, but also because we were stuck in traffic heading into Brackley doing 40 in a 50. So yeah, if only it was a diesel with a big tank you could just refill again and again. And here is the car that I think does everything that this does, but you can refuel it again and again in a few minutes and it will do 500 miles on a tank, whatever the weather, the ambient temperature. It is the 2020 model year Audi S4 Avant TDI. Now this car's been on my radar since I went to the press launch in the summer of 2019, and I was absolutely blown away. There's one figure that you need to know about this car: 700 Newton meters of torque from its diesel engine, 3-litre V6 diesel engine. That's the same as the C7 Audi RS6. I need to apologise for this car being so dirty. It's just come in Part X here at APS Specialist Vehicles. And because this is a courtesy car that needs to go back as quickly as possible, could be today, could be tomorrow, is either film it today dirty or not film it at all. This is how they normally present their cars. So this is a 22 plate T-Roc R, really low mileage, one OCD owner who was retired, and it's even had its black bits underneath wax oiled. Another car that's just arrived in Part X here at APS Specialist Vehicles is this Mark 8 Golf 1.5 TSI active manual, so 1.5, 150 horsepower petrol engine in this beautiful metallic blue, 2 owners. Last owner bought it from Volkswagen about a year ago. He had it serviced then, and then he had it serviced here at APS in November. Both services are on the Volkswagen database, so it's good to go. And it's just had 4 brand new Goodyear tyres. They don't fit budget tyres on cars here like they do at main dealers. And it's an active model, so this is a bit of a, I suppose, a sort of special edition, if you like. It's got decent wheels, that badge there, stainless pedals. It does bong a lot, excuse that. I want to have the ignition on so I can show you that it's got heated seats. It's got the button steering wheel, which the facelift Mark 8 should have. So it's funny that this lives on here. Did I mention stainless pedals? Yeah, it's pretty mint in here. It's done 19,673 miles, and the price is actually pretty much that 19,995, which I don't think is too bad for a pretty good spec. On to the S4 then. So it has 4 tailpipes, but only 2 are real and 2 are fake. Well, that's twice as good as the S6, where they're all fake. And it does make some fake noise, which is quite good actually externally, which I'll demonstrate later. This is black. It's got the standard, I think, 19-inch wheels, red calipers, and it's not a black edition or a Vorsprung. It's basically the basic model, but it's one of the early original cars that were, I think, dealer demos, and they've got a bit of a funny spec. So they've got bits you can't actually get other than on a Vorsprung normally. It's got the silver grille. It's got the adaptive cruise control radar, silver mirrors, silver sill cover, but in many ways, apart from the badge and the exhaust, you wouldn't really take much notice of it. It's just another A4 estate, but that is kind of, it's a beauty. Right, let's have a look inside. So we've got actually quite a nice colour leather interior, which is dark grey, so a bit nicer than it just being all black. Black carpets, mats, black carpets or dark grey, nice quality, lovely door cards of Alcantara, carbon fibre, which was standard, nice hefty metal door pull, chrome tips on the mirrors, nice plastic down here, no sound system upgrade, so just normal speaker grills, but it doesn't really need lifting. Massage function on the seats, and multi-adjustable as well, and massage actually on the passenger seat as well, which is quite rare. Stainless pedals with a stainless dead pedal. It's an 8-speed ZF Tiptronic Auto with paddles, virtual cockpit, the new touchscreen infotainment system, which is really, really cool. There's no controls down here like you get on a BM, but it's still really easy to use with that much big step up over the pre-facelift models, which you can't actually get as S4 TDI. Adjustable thigh support, which is manual on this car, but yeah, the fact you can adjust it is a very, very good thing. It's not keyless entry, which is a good thing, but it is keyless start. It does sound like a diesel now, doesn't it? So let's put it in a fruitier drive mode with drive select. Can you hear that bass thrumming? So from the back of the car, there's a bit of a V8 bellow. From the front, we do still have the rattle, but it is stone cold, so listen to that. That will do, thank you very much. We've got the newer LED lights, a bit like the A6 with their own little light signature. So yeah, it feels super modern in here, super high quality. Dare I say it, actually slightly better quality than in the Porsche. Proper climate controls here with heated seats. It's got self-parking, parallel parking thing, and parking sensors. So it does have bird's eye view as well, so that's not bad. Nice blue illumination in the cup holders, 2 of them. And this has actually got the really cool shifter, I think, where when you turn the car off, like on the R8, it goes straight into park. You don't have to put it into park. Electric parking brake with auto hold, so that should look after itself. We do have some buttons for it, but unlike the Porsche. Wireless charging. We'll have Apple CarPlay. Okay, let's see how much room there is in the back. Just move the number plate because it's had a cherished transfer. Oh yeah, sporty seats as well. Did you take those in? Really kind of nice super sport type seats with these sort of wings here, hard backs. We haven't got heated seats here, but we've got digital controls for the temperature. This actually looks better quality than in the Porsche. 12-volt lighter down there, and I would say a bit more headroom. So this doesn't seem to impinge as much. Dark headlining for the sporty look. Yeah, it feels bigger in here, weirdly. I think it's a better use of space, it's a more conventional shape. Let's have a look in the boot, of which there is only the one. We've got power tailgate. We don't have the convenience locking, the keyless entry, so we've just got one button to open the boot. You can't lock it on this because you have to lock it traditionally. So we have got a big boot of like 1,500 litres with the seats down. It's a bit of a better shape than the Porsche, even though the Porsche is, it's a little bit sleeker than this, but this is still a very sleek car. So it does, I think, everything the Taycan does for a fraction of the price, and you can refuel it and go again on the used market. Because it's a diesel, it'll do 200,000 miles. It won't have range issues as it gets older, which this almost definitely will. So yeah, how does it compare to the Taycan 4S Cross Turismo? Well, actually, this car is just too expensive to even try to compare it with this car. The nearest match is the Taycan Sport Turismo, so no off-road pretensions, base model, 2-wheel drive. We've got 4 here, but okay, so the Taycan Sport Turismo base, 2-wheel drive, £87,300. This, if you went for the top spec car, was $62,350 brand new, just before it was discontinued in the summer of 2023. Now, there are cheaper versions that probably have actually more spec than the base Taycan has as standard. So you could, I think they started off at about 50, let's say 52, 53 versus 87,300 for the Taycan. Okay, this has got rear-wheel drive. Taycan's got rear-wheel drive, 2-speed gearbox. This has got 4-wheel drive, 8-speed gearbox. Taycan does 0 to 62, 4.8 seconds. This does it in 4.9, so it's neither here nor there. Well, that is a good showing from the Taycan, bearing in mind it's 2-wheel drive, but it's rear-wheel drive, so all the weight goes on the back wheels and it can go. 408 horsepower for the Taycan, 347 for the S4, 410 Newton meters of torque for the Taycan. It's definitely restricted because it's two-wheel drive. 700, as I mentioned, for this. Taycan does 143 miles an hour, which is ample really. But S4 transferred it 155. Taycan range WLTP 352 miles. Well, we'll see what it's like in reality. This got a 58 litre tank. WLTP combined consumption figure is 40.9 mpg. That means it will do 522 miles on a tank. Now, I want to talk about the cost of doing those miles. So with the Taycan, it will do 62 miles, 100 kilometres, for £4.90 if you charge at home at 28p per kilowatt hour, or that becomes £13.83 at 79p per kilowatt hour, which is a common rate at most fast chargers away from home. Now, diesel, where I am, is 150.7 pence per litre, and this car will do 40.9 miles per gallon. So it costs £10.39 to do 100 kilometres, 62 miles. So quite a lot more than the Taycan, actually double if you charge the Taycan at home. Size-wise, there's not a lot in it, but this is comfortably smaller. So it's about 10 centimetres narrower with the mirrors folded in and out. Length, there's 20 centimetres more in the Taycan. Wheelbase, it's a little bit longer in the Taycan. Luggage capacity, well, the Taycan's huge, but it has a smaller boot with the seats up, and it's actually 300 litres less with the seats down than the S4. And it's also got the 84 litre frunk as well, but combined with everything, it's still less luggage space than the S4. Price, okay, so the base Taycan Sport Turismo was 87,300 when it was new. Now, a year later and 8,000 miles, there's one at a Porsche main dealer for £65,000, but they won't give you £65,000 for yours. If you buy that one and try and sell it back to them, they'll probably try and buy it off you for well below 60, let's say 55k. So it's lost over 30k in a year, and that's assuming it was a base car. If it had a sprinkling of options, it would have been close to 40k depreciation in a year. This S4, when it was new, was about £50,000. It's 4.5 years old now. It's done 40,000 miles. This car has an easy retail price of £30,000. So the trade price, £25,000. So worst case scenario, over 4 years, 40,000 miles, this car's lost £30,000. So yeah, there we go. Well, that's the comparison on paper, but let's just go for a drive in the S4 TDI and see if it really shapes up to be a match for the Taycan when we drive it. Well, I'm actually more excited than you might imagine to be driving what is on the face of it a humble diesel Audi estate car. But back in 2019 at the press launch, I was so blown away by how this car performed that I had it on my list of the car that I'd own in the future. Now this S4 is diesel powered. It would be right up there on the top of my list. Now they've dropped below £30,000. They're looking pretty affordable. And yes, they've done 40,000 miles, but they've probably got 200,000 miles ahead of them. Now, I started off in comfort mode because yes, we all like to have a bit of fun, but we also like the car to be compliant on rubbish roads. And I'm here in Northamptonshire where the roads are pretty bad, and it's good. This car's got the adaptive damper option, which isn't standard, but it's part of the funny spec that these early sort of launch cars have got. I've got the gearbox in the normal mode, and even though we've got the 48 volt mild hybrid system that stores energy and helps the turbo spool up, it is a little bit laggy, but almost like an old RS2. When it picks up, blimey, does it go! 700 Newton meters of torque. So let's pop that into manual mode, and we can do that on the shifter as well. And we're in fourth gear now at 2,500 RPM, and let's go. Lag. Traction control light coming on in the dry on new Bridgestones. So yeah, it's not got the immediate punch of the Taycan, but honestly, a bit like being punched, you soon get tired of that. What you want is just smooth, progressive pickup, and wow, it really is a hot rod. And it does 40 to the gallon, and it goes around corners as well, so it's not as easy to do this kind of speed around bends like it is in the Taycan, but it's narrower as well, so we can actually, you know, use the full width of the road. And we've actually got two-piece brake discs as well, which will probably be quite expensive to replace. But yeah, they are in proportion to the performance, which I wouldn't say is the case with the Taycans. It sounds alright. I can't hear any diesel rattle. In fact, road noise wise, I'd say it's quieter than the Taycan. There is a rumble, but it's not as loud, and that's just in proportion to the size of the tyres. We've got 8 gears with this ZF torque converter gearbox, so the top gear is really high, so at 60 miles an hour it's doing 1500 RPM. That's very impressive. That's going to really help the MPG. So you can feel on this choppy road it's pretty fluid actually. Oh, and it really has got a very similar surge to the Taycan, and it is electrically boosted with the mild hybrid system. Now that isn't like a normal hybrid where you can actually drive on the electricity. It boosts the turbo to reduce lag, although there is still lag, but then the mild hybrid system isn't always charged up, and it also means it can coast with the engine completely off, so not just in neutral, which saves fuel. It all helps allow this car to, you know, meet Euro 6 compliance and be sold, although unfortunately it was deleted from the range in August 2023. Wow. I know a lot of you guys think S4s should always be petrol, but until you drive this car and enjoy that performance and then look at the MPG as well, when you're not driving it like hard like that and it goes over 40, it's very hard to fully appreciate its qualities. Maybe I should trade in my GTD estate for one of these. It's just another diesel estate car after all, isn't it? So guys, there we have it. The Taycan, whichever model you have, is a very impressive electric vehicle, but because it's an electric vehicle, it's a flawed vehicle. It's big, it's heavy because of its battery, and with even such a big heavy battery, it doesn't provide you with the advertised range. So why are company car buyers who do loads of miles flocking to electric vehicles? Well, it all comes down to the benefit in kind tax. The Inland Revenue sees company cars as a perk, and therefore they want to tax them based upon the list price, but it's also based upon emissions. And in 2021, electric cars were 0% benefit in kind tax. It's gradually creeping upwards, but by 2028 it's going to be 5%, which is nothing still compared to how much it would cost to have a petrol or diesel car as a company car. For example, if you wanted an A4 Avant 204 Sport Quattro TDI, it would cost you in company car tax, assuming you pay 40% tax, £6,500. Compare that with the Taycan, which has a list price of about double, it's a tenth, £600. So you can see why company car drivers are being forced into electric cars. They don't like the bad infrastructure and the charging anxiety, but they pretty much have no choice. The problem is, when these cars hit the used market, there are zero incentives for private buyers to buy them, and who knows what state the battery is in when you buy a used electric vehicle. How good it is depends on how it's charged, and there's nothing that will tell you what state the battery is in when you go and buy it. And that's pretty important. I mean, looking at this car now, it's probably a few months old and 5,000 miles, and its battery really isn't performing as you'd expect it to. What's it going to be like in 8 years when the battery warranty expires? Then if you look at something like a 3-litre V6 TDI, this has done 40,000 miles now. I'm pretty sure this car will outlive this one. It's probably got 200,000 miles ahead of it if it's well serviced and driven with respect. So this is a problem we have now, and for the next few years and probably forever onwards. The majority of used cars hit in the market are going to be electric, and there are no really keen buyers for them. And this is a big problem, not just for you and me, because we love the value we get with second-hand petrol and diesel cars. It's a big problem for manufacturers, because the reason they can PCP this Taycan for £1,000 a month is because they think there's going to be buyers for them, but there aren't. And if there are no buyers, or it has to be so cheap that the PCP is going to cost £3,000 a month to cover the depreciation, well, I'm sorry, but this is not sustainable. And it's going to be very interesting to see how this pans out. I can't predict the future, but I can tell you in the present, go and buy yourself a good diesel car, because there are not going to be many of these around. Look after it, and it might even outlive you, but it'll definitely outlive this. As ever, guys, thanks for watching this Volkswagen video. Keep subscribing, keep commenting, and I'll see you for the next one very soon.